This is Suit Up Sports.
Suit Up Sports.
Where opinions are as sharp as a tailored suit. No fluff, no gimmicks, just unfiltered, hard-hitting takes on sports and a whole lot more. It's time to suit up. Now here's your host, DJ the Suit Stout.
Welcome back to Suit Up Sports. I'm DJ the Suit Stout, along with Brenton Buckner, Frank Garcia, and Mark Yarbrough. Just talked about the Panthers-Falcons game. Really, we talked a lot more about Bryce and a lot of the things that might be going on as to why we saw the Panthers struggle last week. Now I want to jump into doing our picks, but also talking about some of the big college games. We'll also talk about some of the big NFL games. Last time when we had all four of us on the show, we made picks. I think the only person that didn't go over 5 homers was my boy Frank. And Frank, now I'm ahead.
I was leading the pool.
Hey, I'm ahead 60. I'm 68 and 52, and you're 63, 56 and 1. You had a push last week. So you pushed, and so I've got a little. I don't remember which one it was, but I've got you by 5-game lead right now. And so you've got some work to do. But I want to start off. We're going to go through a lot of the big ranked games. We'll start off with one that I don't think many of us care about, but it's a 2 ranked teams playing. You got Iowa, who almost pulled off the upset against Oregon last week against Southern Cal. Iowa's 22 in the country. Southern Cal's 17. Southern Cal's laying 6.5. Southern Cal's offense has seemed to kind of get it going a little bit, even when they lost to Notre Dame. Offense wasn't the problem. Kind of the same story we've seen with Lincoln Riley since he's been a college coach. Is he normally can score points, they just can't stop people. USC minus 6.5. Buck, what you got?
I like USC offense. I think when they're running the ball and with their big play wide receivers, they look good. But I'm gonna go with Iowa. Iowa just punish you, man. You got to take those body blows. You know what you're gonna get, and you got to be willing to sit in there for 4 quarters. I'm going with Iowa.
Mark, what you got, buddy?
I like the Hawkeyes. They have a way of uglying it up to where you end up playing the type of game that they want to play.
Yep.
And that's you said it last week. It was set up perfectly for them last week at home in the rain and the cold. And give credit to Oregon that they found a way to win. But I like Iowa if this was a basketball term, they would slow it down and get the tempo
make it ugly
where they want it.
Yep.
Well, that's kind of the theme between good offense and a great defense is that who plays to what tempo. If I can speed you up, it's like the same thing in basketball. If I'm an offensive-minded team and I can speed you up as a team, then you're going to play my style of game. If I want to slow it down and play, if I'm not talented enough on the offense and I want to slow it down and play 4 corners and pass it around, same type of thing. We run the football, we stop the run, we punt, we play good defense. We don't take a lot of risks and chances. Iowa does that as well as anybody. But I think that USC has found its stride a little bit. And Lincoln Riley is, learning his team because every team that you have is going to be a little different. I think he's learning this team, and I think they're going to score a lot of points.
Yeah, Frank used this analogy. I never heard it before, and now it seems like I've heard it 10 times, where when Penn State lost at home to Oregon and then went on the road and lost to UCLA, and Frank said Oregon beat them twice.
Yep.
And I kind of think in this instance, it's the same thing. Iowa loses a heartbreaker at home against Oregon. Now they got to travel to the West Coast, and I think Oregon beats them twice. I think USC scores enough points, covers a 6.5. So we got 2 Iowas, 2 USCs. Next game, and this should be a great game. You've got number 11 Oklahoma going to number 4 Alabama. Oklahoma coming off a big win last week. Alabama, since the debacle against Florida State to start the season, has again seem to find their stride. They're still not running the ball as good as I know they want to. I know they're rated way down, especially even in the SEC when it comes to running the ball. But Alabama's laying 6.5 at home against Oklahoma, Buck.
I like Alabama. Ty Simpson, as long as you can keep Oklahoma from stealing your offensive signals.
Yeah, true.
You got a chance.
True.
Brent Venables is out there. Every offensive coordinator that talk now, hey, we know you good at stealing signals. We're going to do. They struggle when teams don't allow them to get those signals. And then I like Alabama.
Alabama laying 6.5. Mark, what you got, buddy?
Bama's just they're tough to beat at home. I think John Mateer is capable of going in there and pulling one off, but I think Alabama looks like a different team than they did early in the year when they were ready to run. Kalen DeBoe's out of town. Now they're solidly in the playoff picture, and I think they keep it rolling.
Yep. You're picking this time because you're just gonna sit.
No, we're gonna alternate.
I know. I picked first last time.
Yeah, this is my turn. So
it is your turn.
and again, I'm gonna go against Buck and Mark. I think Alabama not running the ball as well as they wanted to is going to hurt them. Oklahoma's got a really good defense. Mateer, ever since hurting his thumb when he came back, he hadn't been the same guy, but I saw glimpses of it last week or 2 weeks ago. I think he's going to be able to get some points on the board against Alabama. I think Alabama probably still wins, but 6.5 points, I'll take it. I wish I had that hook to get to 7, but I'm going with Oklahoma.
I hate to do this because I'm trying to get a little,
get back
to where I'm respectable and winning and beating DJ. But I agree with you, DJ. Is that Brett Venerables? He's the one coach, even when Saban was there, that put together a game plan that gave Alabama all they can handle. They may not have the same players, but Alabama was the talented leading team in the country, and Venerables, did what was required
when he was at Clemson.
He was at Clemson to beat them in those national championship games. He has a formula that he understands how to play Alabama, and he's going to blitz a lot. He's going to be aggressive on the defensive side. The fact that it's in Alabama, I think, doesn't hurt them as much because, Buck says this, and I agree. When you travel, you bring your defense and your special teams, and you pack them. I think Oklahoma's defense is the difference, man. I think Oklahoma covers that 6.5.
All right, so Frank and I are on the same page on 2 games so far.
Oklahoma, we're talking about defense.
Exactly.
I mean, if they didn't win a game 70 to 50, they weren't winning.
That's true. All right, next game we're going to go to is Florida at Ole Miss. Florida unranked, Ole Miss 7 in the country. Ole Miss have themselves in the thick of everything right now. Lane Kiffin has that team playing great on both sides of the ball. They're laying 7 at home. Florida, again, we say this every time, their defense is really good and they struggle on offense. Florida has been in a lot of games, minus last week, but they've been in a lot of games against good teams, just haven't been able to finish strong. But Florida getting 7 at Ole Miss. Excuse me, it's not 7. They're getting 14.5. I thought that looked weird. 14.5.
Man, give me
Petty. Easy for me.
I'm looking at Ole Miss being the 7th ranked team in the country. They're laying 14.5.
Man, give me Petty Pendergrass. Give me Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
Lane Kiffin, I like what he's doing. His guys play for him. Their defense is underrated. Their front 7 gets after you. And I just think Florida got so much uncertainty at the quarterback position. Langway, I don't think the team really rallies behind him like everybody is made to be. So give me Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. Mark, what you got, buddy?
Is Lane coaching against his future school?
Oh, I didn't think about
in this
that.
game
because right.
he's the guy that the Gator fans want, and he's going to give them a reason to want him Saturday because he's going to put on the show, and he knows that.
Yeah,
and he's going to, if he can put 70 on him, he will. Give me Ole Miss.
I didn't even think about that, and I think that's a good point. Frank, you're up on this one.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Last week, I thought Florida was going to fight a little bit harder without Napier. I thought they were more talented on defense, and they just didn't have the offense to be able to go out there and compete. This week, I think the same thing applies. They get worn down, and when you start losing games like that, it has kind of a snowball effect. Practices seem harder. You start expecting to lose a little bit. The game's at Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss runs it up, like Mark said. Give me Ole Miss.
All right, we cleared the board on that one. All of us with Ole Miss. I'm taking them as well. Here's probably the best matchup of the weekend. You got number 10 Texas going to number 5 Georgia. Texas, Arch Manning, who was getting criticized quite a bit early in the season, and rightfully so. Ever since the fourth quarter against Mississippi State, and then last week we've seen a different Arch Manning. He seems to have figured out a little bit, getting the experience. Georgia, slow starts every game, but then in the second half, Kirby Smart makes adjustments, and they've just been there. They know how to win football games. They're laying 6.5 at home against Texas. Who you got, Buck?
I'm going with the Georgia Bulldogs. Unless you got Peyton Manning coming out there for Texas, I think Arch Manning is one of the most overrated kids out there. I don't think it's because of him. I just think because his last name is Manning that people are putting too much on him. I think Georgia just it's one of those teams like Alabama is to Georgia. I think Georgia is to Texas. We'll punch you in the mouth. We've been there. You're going to do something to give us a chance to win the game. We're going to take advantage of it. So give me the Bulldogs.
All right, Georgia it is. Mark, what you got, buddy?
I don't see Georgia like blowing them out, but they've already lost at home this year to Bama. I don't see Kirby losing at home again, especially at night. Texas offense, Arch has played better, but they can still get stagnant at times. I don't think Georgia blows them out by any stretch, but I think they do enough to cover that spread.
7-win Sark strikes again. Kirby Smart's a better coach than Sarkisian. He has his team do what they do well better than what Texas tries to do. Texas has a really good defense. Georgia sees those types of defenses on a daily. They play the Alabamas. They play the Ole Misses. They're seeing the NFL quality caliber guys every single week, and that's what Texas has. They'll be able to handle that. They'll be able to move those guys, and ultimately, I don't think Manning is going to be able to outrun Georgia. Normally, when those games he is playing well, he improvised, he scrambled, he kept the ball. They have defensive ends that will lock Manning down like Georgia, and that's going to be the difference in the game, the speed of Georgia's defense.
I haven't been high on Texas all year long. And I watched all their games, and I do see improvement, especially in Arch. They're coming off a bye week, so I think Sarkisian is a good enough coach to put some wrinkles in that Georgia is not going to see on tape. Kind of like what we talked about earlier. Georgia has started pretty much every game slow. Even last week against Mississippi State, they got in an early hole and then they crushed them. I love Texas in the first half because I just think it's going to be a close first half. But I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to take Texas. I know I'm probably going to kick just getting the 6.5. I think Georgia wins. I think
you didn't want to say the win.
No, because I agree with Mark. They've already lost at home to Alabama. I don't see them losing two.
You're still taking Georgia.
I'm taking Texas plus the points. So if they don't cover, you gain a game on me. Yeah. So there's two we've got different so far, but I'm going to take Texas plus the 6.5. Here's the game that I'm excited about this weekend, and I'm also nervous as hell about it. My Fighting Irish, number 7 team in the country, going to Pittsburgh, the number 22 team in the country. Game day's there. Pat McAfee show's there. Aaron Donald is coming back for the game. Pittsburgh's coach, which I thought was the dumbest thing I've ever seen, when he came out and said, if we lose this game, it doesn't matter. We just need to win the next 2 games and focus on the ACC. I don't know if that's ever a good message to say on national TV to your team, that if we lose this game, it doesn't matter.
I was surprised to see that from Pat Narduzzi.
I was too. I thought it was dumb. Notre Dame's laying 12.5. Obviously, Jeremiah Love is the best running back in the country. Every game he does something that just makes you go, wow. And the kid is a beast. CJ Carr, the quarterback for Notre Dame, every analyst that I've looked at so far said that if he could, and Kirk Herbstreit, I saw him say it yesterday, if he could come out in the draft this year, they think he would be the number 1 pick in the draft. Notre Dame laying 12.5 at Pitt. Buck, who you got?
I'm taking Notre Dame just from experience. I remember when a young Dabo Swinney stood up and said, South Carolina game don't mean much. We're concentrating on the ACC. Then Georgia Tech beat them by 50 points in the ACC championship.
Yep.
He's going to learn from that mistake. You're playing Notre Dame. Everything means something to
no
you in
doubt.
football. Give me Notre Dame. Unless Aaron Donald is playing. If Aaron Donald is playing,
I guarantee he still could.
Oh, easily.
He looks like he could still be a Pro Bowler.
I'm taking Notre Dame.
All right, Mark, what you got, bud?
Man, that seems like a lot of points on the road, and what's going to be a hostile environment. I know Notre Dame obviously will have their fans there. I'm going to lean Pittsburgh covers. Notre Dame wins, but here's my bold prediction. C.J. Carr is the difference maker. Mm-hmm. It's not Jeremiah Love. C.J. Carr wins the game with his arm.
Notre Dame it is. My pick on this one first. I agree. I think C.J. Carr is going to have a big game, but Pittsburgh stinks against the run. And if there's one thing that you can say about Notre Dame, whether you like them or hate them, is they can run the ball. They got 2 dogs with Price and Love in the backfield who both are going to be NFL guys and are going to play a lot on Sundays. And I just think that if Notre Dame will control the game with the run And I think Pittsburgh will fight hard, but I think eventually Notre Dame extends the lead and covers the 12.5. So I'm going Notre Dame.
Every 7-2 record isn't the same.
True.
And Notre Dame with their 7-2, their 2 losses are to top 25 teams.
On the last, both were on last plays of the game. Yeah,
their very last plays of the game. They could very easily be 8-1 and 9-0, and talking about one of the best teams in the country. Pittsburgh has lost to Louisville, I believe, and they lost to West Virginia earlier in the season. And their resume, when we're talking about stacking up those 7-2 records, isn't nearly the same. I think that's the reason for the difference in spread. But Notre Dame is just a better program. They have a better coach, and they have better players. And Buck's right. If Aaron Donald's not playing for Pitt, I'm not taking Pitt. So give me Notre Dame.
All right, Notre Dame sweeps the board in our picks on that one. Clemson coming off a huge win against Florida State. They've been few and far between, traveling to Louisville, the number 20 team in the country, who's coming off a bad loss. As a Clemson fan, Buck, I know you hope that maybe they figure some things out last week against Florida State. Louisville's only laying 2.5 in this game, so field goal game, and that's really just because they're at home. Clemson at Louisville minus 2.5. What you got, Buck?
Well, the game against Florida stank.
Florida stank.
They stink.
They do stink.
I think that was a facade. Clemson can't play good back against the wall at home. It was Hall of Fame weekend. My good friend Chester McLaughlin went in the Hall of Fame. Congrats, to him and his family. But I just think Louisville on a Friday night is a recipe for disaster for Clemson. I think Louisville defense gets their hand on the ball more than you would like to see as a visiting team. I think Clemson quarterback struggles. Their wide receivers struggle to get off the ball. And if it's not where they just physically dominate than somebody, you like Clemson, but I think Louisville wins this game.
All right.
And that's coming from a Clemson fan.
I was either you're trying to buy a win or you're on to something. Mark, what you got?
Buck, I am shocked to hear how little faith you have, unless you are trying to buy a win, which I can certainly appreciate.
I do it all the time.
I've done it many times. We talked about it a little while ago. Team losing and then losing the next week, they got beat twice. Louisville is going to get beaten twice tonight by Cal. Clemson's going to beat Louisville.
Okay.
I think you lose a game like that, I think that you don't forget about it.
Yeah.
Like they lost last week. Give me Clemson in the upset.
All right, Frank.
Can I take the points, the over and the under?
yeah, seriously.
Because I'm taking the over. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. We talked about trust earlier in the program with Bryce Young, and I'm not sure, what the trust level is, with Dabo and Clemson right now. And I'm not talking about the quarterback coach. I'm talking about the players and the coach. When you're 4-5, you're supposed to be the number 2-3 ranked team in the country. Something is going on internally that we aren't aware about. I think Buck would agree with that. Yes. This team, this organization, this school is too talented to have lost as many games as they've lost and to play the way they played in some of those losses. They look disinterested. They look lethargic. And they have some playmakers, but they're not getting the playmakers the ball. I'm taking Louisville in this. I think that they win the game, and I think Dabo is. I don't know if the seat can get any hotter for him, but this might be his last hurrah.
Clemson's one of those teams that I feel like I've missed every week. Last week I took Florida State, Clemson smokes them. The week before that I took Clemson, Duke beats them at the end of the game. So whatever I pick here, bet the other way because it's a guarantee. And I agree with you, Frank. I'm going with Louisville. I don't trust Clemson on the road. Something's not right with that team this week, and I think Mark's right. Coming off an awful loss with Louisville, but I think they will rebound. I think their coach We'll get them ready for this game. Like Buck said, it's a Friday night game. The fans will be nuts. I'm going Louisville.
This is where you found out how good a coach Jeff Brom is.
Yeah.
If Louisville comes out tonight ready to play, and I'm not saying if they lose, Jeff Brom's not a good coach, but this is where you're coaching, man. You got to make those kids forget that about last week. When nothing we can do about it tonight, we can only do what we can do, and that's try to beat Clemson.
I agree. So I'm gonna put my trust in him and Louisville minus 2.5. Wisconsin at number 2, Indiana. Before the show, we were talking about Indiana, how impressed we all are. Even though everyone thought they'd go in and wear Penn State out, comes down to an unbelievable throw by the quarterback and catch by the receiver. Indiana's laying 28.5. Wisconsin's had a tough season, have a hard time scoring the football. Indiana minus 28.5. Who you got, Buck?
I haven't been this excited about Indiana since Rodney Dangerfield went back to school. I love Indiana head coach. I think they play a physical brand of football. And I like a man that tells a reporter, Google me. I win everywhere I go.
Yep.
I'm going with Indiana.
All right, Indiana minus 28.5. Mark?
Yeah, look, Wisconsin had a nice win last week at home against Frank's Huskies. Tomorrow is going to be a little bit different, though. They're going to a different beast. And Wisconsin's defense actually is not bad. It's just they are on the field so much.
Yep.
They get worn down, and I think that's what's going to happen. I can see them kind of hanging around in the first half, but eventually they're just going to be on the field too much. And as you said, DJ, that they've really struggled scoring. So give me Indiana. It's a lot of points, but I think offensively they can cover that.
All right, I'm up now, and I agree with you, Mark. And you would normally I would worry a little bit about a letdown after such a big win in Penn State, the way it came down, and those guys left everything out on the field. They fought their butts off, and a lot of times I would worry about a letdown after that when you're a 28.5 point favorite. If this game was on the road, I would probably worry a little more. But Indiana at home puts 50 points up every game, it seems, and Cignetti's got that whole university fired up, that town fired up. If Rodney Dangerfield was still with us, I'm sure he'd be doing a triple Lindy before the game to get everybody fired up. And Wisconsin is not that bad on defense, but at home, Indiana, I think they put 40 or 50 up every game, and I'm taking Indiana.
Yeah, you talk about the sign and quality of a championship team and a good team. Indiana displayed that in full force last week against Penn State. That drive from the 10-yard line to win the game when you didn't play your best. That's what good teams do, is they find a way to win. And I think they build off of that. I don't think that's one of those things that have a letdown. I think that's one of those things that makes us feel like no matter what happens, no matter what the obstacle, no matter how big the hurdle, we're going to find a way to win. Been on championship teams, Buck, I know you have as well. When that feeling is amongst your team, and it doesn't matter what Wisconsin does. It doesn't matter what Penn State does. It matters what you do as a team, and nobody's going to come, between that and us winning this game. Their quarterback, Fernandez is one of the best in the country, if not the best. And you saw players around him last week rallying and making incredible catches. He made some incredible throws. They have an incredible coach. And, they're one of those teams that, at the beginning of the year, I would have felt like, come on, give me a break. Indiana again? No way. This is where they fall off. They have been the most impressive team in college football. I can't say enough good things about them, their coach, their direction, and they're going to blow out Wisconsin, and they just score points. They score points at home. Wisconsin doesn't. I saw it last week. They won the game because Washington lost the game. And that's not going to happen this week.
And Frank, you and Buck as coaches know this, and I think that's why you saw Curt Cignetti so emotional after the game. Is they'll never admit it, but I think in the back of his mind he kind of liked seeing them behind the 8 ball and said, "All right, what do we got?
Yes,
let me see what we're made of." And he saw that. That's why you saw him and Mendoza both emotional after the game last week. Like, I found out something about my guys, and then we're tough.
You said it earlier in the show, Mark. With a win like that, now I can coach you so hard now.
Yeah.
Because I can go back and look at all the bad stuff, why it was so close, why it came down. They probably had the toughest week of practice this week to keep them from having to let down.
Yep. And I'll tell you something, you mentioned Cignetti and some of his quotes, which are great. He had one after the game where the reporter said, Indiana's never won here at Penn State. He said, this team never played at Penn State before. and when I heard him say that, it's like, how do you not love that about your head coach? And Indiana's got something special going on, and I think they keep rolling. Let's jump to the NFL. This game's pretty interesting because Green Bay's coming off of 2 losses at home, which is, I think, the first time it's happened in 12 years. They're going to the New York Giants, who fired their head coach, Daboll, this week. Dart probably isn't going to play, concussion. So Jameis Winston looks like he'll be in there. And Giants defense, their secondary is all banged up. They've got second and third string dudes playing in the secondary. Green Bay's offense has been pretty bad. Green Bay's laying 7.5 in New York.
Famous Jameis. He's famous for making other defenses look good.
Yep.
Give me the Green Bay Packers.
Green Bay gets back on the right track.
Buck, he's going to give you 1 or 2 again.
Yes.
You just have to be patient, knowing it's coming, right?
Exactly.
Just like the crab stores. When he comes to order all you can eat, they're going to give it away for free.
Yarbs, what you got, buddy?
Matt LaFleur, do not lose this game.
Yeah.
Do not lose this game. Your seat's already hot. You lose this game, you might not have a seat.
Yeah.
Those points scare me because of the way the Packers are struggling offensively. I'm going to lean that they can do enough to cover it. So give me Green Bay. I don't like the pick, but I'll take them anyway.
Me first or you first?
I think it's me this time. I'm going to take Green Bay as well. Even though the game's on the road in New York, you don't have Jackson Dart. I think he and Scatterbo were the 2 spark plugs that ignited that engine for the New York Giants. Jameis is a good, believe it or not, I think he's a good leader. I think he has potential head coach in his DNA. I think he will be a very good head coach at some point in the NFL. Very, very similar to Brian Leftwich. I think that he has that coaching mentality, and he wants to mentor players. He was mentoring Jackson Dart and doing a very good job at it. But he's going to give you 1 or 2 a game, and that's what Green Bay has to be patient for. It's funny how we sit here, and the NFL is so different than college football. You lose 1 game in college, everybody feels like, okay, our season. 2 games in the NFL, win or lose, you feel like if we win 2 games, we're corrected everything, we're going to the Super Bowl. If you lose 2 games, we can't coach anymore, we can't play. I know the Packers have lost 2 in a row, but they get the ship righted this week.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect matchup for Green Bay because, like I said, the Giants are without their starting secondary. Their defensive line is dangerous, but and Green Bay's without their Pro Bowl center. He's out for the year, broke his leg, I believe. But offensively, with Jameis, there's no Malik Neighbors, there's no Dart, there's no Scatterbo. I just think because Green Bay's defense hasn't been the issue. I mean, they're losing games, giving up 13 points. Yeah. So I think they shut the Giants down. I think this is the get right game for Green Bay. I think Jordan Love has a big game, and I'm gonna lay the 7.5.
What does the ghost say?
Boo.
Scatta.
Bo. I know. I always get his name wrong. I know. I get it. I get everybody's name wrong. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
He still doesn't call them the Commanders either. So
I know.
I won't call them.
I screw up names more than anybody. All right. Next, we're going to go, and this should be a good game. And 2 teams coming off a loss. Tampa Bay at Buffalo. Buffalo's laying 5.5. Tampa Bay coming off a loss last week to the Patriots, who now appear to be maybe the 2nd or 3rd best team in the NFL. Buffalo struggling on offense. They don't seem to have any receivers that can get downfield unless they play the Panthers. Buffalo laying 5.5 at home against the Bucks. Buck.
This is a scary game for me because I'm watching Tampa. Tampa pride got hurt last week when New England just punched them in the mouth and Henderson ran down their throat. Yeah. But Baker Mayfield came out, and I think he's trying to pull that Superman cape out. And when he does, that's bad ball for the Bucks. But then you look at Buffalo, they're struggling on offense because they don't put a lot of money in their wide receivers. Everybody know they want to run the ball, but I think Buffalo defense is going to take advantage of Baker Mayfield trying to be Superman. So I'm going to go with the Buffalo Bills.
All right, Mark, who you got?
At some point, Buffalo's got to start looking like Buffalo, right? I feel like we've said this with the Chiefs a lot. Now we're saying it about Buffalo. Offensively, I don't know what's happened to them. They seem lost. I just can't see them losing this game at home. Yeah. I know Tampa is obviously coming in looking to right their ship as well after last week, but there's no must wins here in November. But this is, if you're Sean McDermott, you got to have this one. You got to get this game Sunday. So give me Buffalo.
All right. I'm up first on this one. And I agree, Mark. And, looking at this game, Tampa's also banged up. They're missing, I think, 2 of their top 3 running backs. They're missing Mike Evans. They're missing Godwin. So on offense, they are a banged up unit. Buffalo on defense has got to be you mentioned earlier, the defense has got to lead this team the way that their offense is playing right now. But they're at Buffalo. It's going to be cold as hell. and you got to think Josh Allen and the Bills get it corrected. I wish the spread was lower than 5.5 because Tampa seems to play these tight games all the time. But I'm gonna take Buffalo minus the 5.5.
Before Frank makes his pick,
and my twin brother,
if
Sean
you
McDermott.
are Joe Brady, because you're struggling on offense, are you inclined to turn Josh loose a little bit more and say we got to find a spark here?
Yes. And I think Josh is going to turn himself loose.
Yeah.
I think he's the kind of guy, coaching against him, he'll try to ride the wave, get everybody involved. But when the rubber meets the road, I'm the difference maker.
Yeah.
And I think this is a game where he just puts him on his back and he becomes Superman.
The MVP. He's the MVP.
There's a lot of time left, a lot of games left in the NFL. Mark, to answer your question, I think that they may make more runs for him, first downs, touchdowns.
Yeah, because it seems like they haven't done that this year as many.
There hasn't been the need.
Yeah,
it's a marathon, not a sprint. Right. But we're getting down to the finish line.
Yeah,
and you're at home, so I think those are going to be the reasons why Josh Allen's probably let loose a little bit more. The Braves are going to be they're going to let that pony run, but I think they win that game. You look at Buck, you played there. I know that. The people that have never been to Buffalo, the surface of that field is slick as ice.
Yes.
And the wind blows sideways.
Yes.
Baker Mayfield has a good arm, but he's not used to that wind. You've seen quarterbacks struggle and win. Josh Allen has a cannon of it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The reason why he's successful up there is not just his legs that he can use when he needs them. It's because his ball cuts through that wind probably better than any quarterback in the NFL. He throws a tight spiral, a heavy ball, and that wind doesn't affect it nearly as much. I think Buffalo has a big home field advantage there, and I think they win the game easily.
Gotcha. All right, so we all took Buffalo on that one. Moving on, another good matchup. Kansas City goes to Denver. Denver, one of the best defenses in the league. They're struggling mightily on offense. They're 8-2, but if you look at who if you look at their 8 wins, they really haven't beat anybody. And when if the team they beat was a pretty good team, they didn't have their best guys that game. They've punted more than any team in the NFL, which shows you how much they're struggling on offense. Kansas City, we think they're starting to figure it out, and then they stumble, and then they figure it out and they stumble. They're laying 3.5 at Denver. What you got, Buck?
I think Kansas City weakness bodes well for Denver's strength, and that's Denver's 5-man pass rush, because Vance is going to bring 5 every snap. They lead the league with 3 guys over 40 pressures.
Yep.
Over 40 pressures coming from 3 different guys. I don't think Kansas City has enough to protect Pat Mahomes. And we already know, as Pat Mahomes started dancing like Gregory Hines, that's when they get in trouble. I think Denver wins this game because this is a statement game for Denver.
It is.
Hey, there's a new team in the AFC West. We're young.
They're leading the division right now.
And we'll go hunt your quarterback. They're on pace for 80 sacks.
Which is nuts.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
They're on pace for 80
sacks. You
sacks.
fired as an offensive lineman.
I don't think the Panthers have had 80 sacks if you compare the last 3 seasons. And I'm being serious. All right, so you taking the
Denver
Broncos plus the 3.5. Mark, what you got, buddy?
Yeah, I just don't like what I've seen from Bo Nix lately. He looked really bad against a Raider defense he should have been able to make some plays against. I think this is an ugly game, actually, Sunday. I like the Chiefs, but it's something like 16-10 or something.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be another ugly game.
Yeah, Mark, I agree. You look at Bo Nix last week against the Raiders. Their pressure with their front 4 got to him. There's a couple of times he panicked through the ball. He's not handling that very well. He's throwing the ball away. Sean Payton. They didn't. I hate to say this about Sean Payton, coach team, but they didn't feel like they were prepared, for that. And it's hard to prepare when you're dropping 7 and only rushing 4 and you're still getting there. So the Denver Broncos offensive line is going to have to step up, against the Chiefs. But conversely, you look at what Buck said with what the Denver Broncos bring. They're not historically good, but they're as good as they've been in a long time, maybe since 2015. And that's where you look at Mahomes. Xavier Worthy is going to have to be a difference maker for Kansas City. They have not been the same offense since they lost the Cheetah down to Miami. But Patrick Kelsey's going to still do well. With what they're doing, on the offensive side. Xavier Worthy's got to be a difference. I'm still taking Kansas City.
Yeah, I am too. I just think that Kansas City's defense is pretty damn good as well, and I do think, like Mark said, I think it'll be an ugly game. Again, I wish there wasn't a hook on this one. I wish it was 2.5 instead of 3, because I do think this is going to be an ugly, lower scoring game.
14-10, 12-14, something like that.
Yeah, but Denver coming off what a miserable performance. You got to think that they're going to play better. But Kansas City's pretty good on defense too, and I'm gonna go with the quarterback in this game and just think that Mahomes figures out a way to get it done. Next, we go over to Detroit at Philadelphia, another game that's has big time implications when we go to the playoffs and home field and things like that. Philadelphia with an ugly win at Green Bay, but it's a win.
Yes.
And, A.J. Brown this week, mad he ain't getting the ball. Jalen Hurts, I think, who was a great leader, handled it perfectly in the media. I thought their coach handled it perfect in the media. Detroit made a change last week at play calling, and Dan Campbell took over to play calling, and we saw that kind of offense that we were used to seeing with Detroit.
Helped that they played the Commanders' defense too.
That is true. That is a very valid point. But Detroit going to Philadelphia, Philly's laying 2.5. What you got, Buck?
I think this is going to be an old school slug 'em out match. I think Detroit wants to be physical. We know Philly plays with a physical mindset, and what the doctor ordered for A.J. Brown is a secondary in Detroit that struggles right now.
Yep.
So he'll get a chance to get his one-on-ones, him and Smith, and I'm just going with Philly. I just like what Philly do. Their GM is the GM of the century.
He's unbelievable.
Man, the trades he do.
He literally is in on every deal.
Yeah.
You hear that around here,
Jalen
but he
Phillips.
literally is in on every deal.
Unbelievable.
First-round draft pick.
Yeah.
He's down there in Miami struggling. He's young. He's still on his rookie deal.
Yeah.
Let me go get him a little boost up now. We get everything from him. We're not going to have to break the bank for him.
Yeah.
And we still got young guys coming back, so I'm going with Philadelphia.
All right. Yards, what you got, bud?
This one's tough because I don't know what Philadelphia's trying to do on offense right now. I don't know what their identity is. We knew last year it was Saquon, and then that opened up the passing game. Well, this year, for whatever reason, they're not using Saquon. He's not running the way he did last year. I don't know what's going on. I'm going to go Lions, even on the road. I know you don't walk into Philly very often. I know Denver did earlier this year and win, but I trust their offense a little bit more right now than I trust Philadelphia's.
Frank, what you got?
I mean, we're talking about the best team in the NFL. I mean, the Philadelphia Eagles are world champs for a reason. I'm not saying they are able to turn on the light switch and turn it off whenever they want. When it's down, turn up the gas, whatever it is, whatever cliche you want to use. They're the best team in football. And when they decide that they want to play, there's nobody that's going to be better. And I think they're going to feel like they're challenged this week. Denver's coming in with a great offense. Detroit's coming in with a great offense, and they can throw the ball everywhere. They can run it. They have a complete package. But Philadelphia will step it up on the defensive side. If they're healthy, they're ready to go, and I think Philadelphia wins the game.
I'm going to agree with Mark. I think Detroit's going to go in there and win the game. I do think that A.J. Brown's going to probably have a pretty big game because Detroit does have a lot. They tend to play man-to-man, I guess, at DB a lot. So I think that Philly's going to be able to throw the ball a little more. I don't, for the life of me, understand why Philly doesn't give Saquon the ball as much as they did last year. I don't, maybe not as much, but it seems like he's getting 10 or 12 carries and he's being successful, and then they kind of stop. So I don't know what they're doing on offense either. I think Detroit found something last week, even though it was against the Redskins defense, but I think Detroit's going to go in there and win, and I think they're going to win by a touchdown.
Well, if you're saying Detroit plays a lot of man-to-man, which they do, Jalen Hurts is going to have the best game.
That's what I'm saying. I think they're going to score.
Running game of his life.
And they play a lot of man-to-man in a dome.
Yeah.
Philly's going to be cold.
That's
You're
true.
going to be in the elements.
So
That's true.
You're playing man-to-man, you turn your back to Jalen Hurts, he's gone. He's running for a long way because that's what a lot of teams will do to slow down running quarterbacks. They'll play a little bit more zone than they do man-to-man. And if they're going to play predominantly man, Jalen Hurts can have a big game.
And hopefully everybody took A.J. Brown's advice. If you have me on your fantasy team, take
Get
me
rid
off.
of him. Yeah, I know.
Because I'm not getting the ball.
He's not getting the ball. All right, here's another game that has big-time implications, and that's Seattle going to the Rams. Seattle playing probably the best football in the NFL right now. The Rams aren't too far behind them. Last year when Sam Darnold was on Minnesota in the playoffs, the Rams sacked him 9 times. He's only been sacked 9 times this entire season. He's having, an MVP caliber season. Rams are laying 3.5 at home against Seattle. Who you got, Buck?
I watched this game, and it's funny how all these ex-Panther quarterbacks are sort of dominating the league right now. You watch Seattle. I've been very impressed with their defense, man. And Sam Darnold, the way he spreads the ball around. They got 2 running backs. They're just built to win games like this, but you can't take nothing from the Rams because their quarterback gets better. The older he gets, the better he gets.
He's thrown 20 touchdowns in the last 4 games, not 1 interception.
Not 1 interception. So I'm with it. With it being in L.A., I'm going with the Rams.
All right. Mark, what you got, bud?
Yeah, it's in L.A., but I'm not convinced the Rams are going to have a home field advantage here. I think there'll be as many Seattle fans there as there will be Rams fans. And Seattle has been so good on the road this year. I love the Rams. I think they're a Super Bowl caliber team, but I like Seattle Sunday.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mark as well. Their defense is young. They're fast. They fly around. They're aggressive. They make plays. And I talked about Drake May being the number one passing quarterback with rating or percentage in the NFL. Number two is Sam Darnold, right behind him. May was at 74, 75. Darnold's at 73. So, I mean, he's finding open receivers. He's making good reads. He's getting rid of the ball. So as good as that Rams young defense is, it's not going to get to him if he's throwing the ball on time. And Seattle, I think, I just think that they're playing as well as anybody in the league, as you said. I think they win the game.
Yeah, I'm on the Seattle bandwagon. I just think they play great on both sides of the ball. Darnold's playing great. It does worry me a little bit that whatever the Rams did on defense in the playoffs against Minnesota last year, when you sack a quarterback 9 times in a game, they obviously have a pretty good game plan. But Darnold has been great this year. I think the Rams probably still win, but I think it's probably a 3-point game, so I'll take the 3.5 points. And last game we're going to pick, as usual, the Panthers at Atlanta. We broke this game down and talked about the Panthers and Atlanta earlier in the show. Atlanta's minus 3.5. They've lost 4 in a row. Panthers coming off a awful loss against the New Orleans Saints. But Carolina at Atlanta.
This is a perfect test for Carolina. If you want to be what you want to be, you go on the road to your rivalry that you blew out early in the year and you win this game.
Yeah,
because you're going to get the best from Atlanta. They're going to throw it in. But what scares me about Atlanta, when your quarterback come out and say, nobody helps you with adjustment on the sideline.
Yeah,
the coach don't talk to me.
Yeah.
The backup quarterback, I had to go home to my fiance, and I'm not going with that because she never took a snap in her life. I'm going with Carolina.
Yeah, Carolina. Wow. Mark.
I still don't know who the Falcons are at this point of the season. I just think the way they were embarrassed here the first time is – that's still got to be on their mind. I just think I know they coming back from where were they, Berlin last week, tough loss. I didn't like what I saw from the Panthers. I think the Falcons defense actually is pretty good. I think they're going to use the same recipe we saw the Saints did. So give me the Falcons.
Gotcha. I'm first on this one, right, Frank?
Yep.
All right. This is one too that it's a coin flip because these games in Atlanta have been tight. They've been high scoring. I do think Atlanta's going to be motivated by the 30-0 shutout loss. I do think that, losing 4 in a row and losing a heartbreaker last week, all that, and their defense is good. Their defense has played really good. Number 1 against the pass, but they stink against the run. So this goes to what Frank said and what you said about if the Panthers do what they do well and they do it well, they're going to be able to run the ball all day long, you would think. Getting 3.5 points, again, this is one that I think will come down to probably a field goal, and I think taking the 3.5 is probably the safest bet. Although, I'm not sold on what Panther team we're going to get either, Mark. So I'm going to take the Panthers getting the 3.5.
Yeah, Mark, you said you don't know who the Atlanta Falcons are. Well, I think we can say the same thing when it comes to the Carolina.
That's fair.
We don't know who they are either. So this is going to be a team of mismatched identities, and hopefully one of them will play to theirs. And we hope it's the Panthers. That being said, I think that if you have any type of pride, if you're an Atlanta Falcon player and you got shut out at home or on the road against the Panthers, you're going to be a little bit more motivated, a little bit extra ramped up for this game. And I think that's going to be the difference. You're going to take the blueprint of what the Saints did last week. You're going to shove the box. You're going to blitz on the outside. You're going to try to run stop them and stop the run and jam the receivers. And I think that the Falcons will take that recipe. If the Panthers can take advantage of that, Panthers have a good chance of winning. If they don't, you're going to see a little bit more of what we saw last week. Give me the Falcons minus 3.5.
All right, there we go. So I think 13 games down, only 2 that we all just agreed on. So Monday we'll see how that turns out. I want to thank you guys for coming today, doing the show. I know you guys have other things to do, so I really do appreciate you guys coming in. I want to thank Mothers for their great hospitality, great food. If you haven't been here yet in the Park Road Shopping Center, we're really not just saying it. Their food is – Buck came back this week. with some buddies and shut the place down, watching Monday Night Football and eating, I think, about 10 different things off the menu.
Great bar area.
Great bar area. I want to thank Big D, as usual, for doing a great job. Look at that mac and cheese, by the way. But before
Cast iron skillet.
That puts you to sleep right there.
before we do leave today, though, I do want to send our heartfelt condolences out to the South family and the Myers Park community. Mothers is in the Myers Park community, and Parker South, a senior baseball player at Myers Park, suddenly passed away this week. So I know it's been a hard week for Myers Park. They've got a playoff football game tonight. Hopefully they can get a big win and get something positive and have everybody feeling a little better this week. But we do want to send our heartfelt condolences out to the South family in Myers Park. Great week of football, a weekend of football. We'll be back Monday to break it down. Hopefully it's a Panther victory Monday, but we shall see. Have a good weekend, everybody.